we have to create the right vibe, you know, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Purely Arsenal FP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to another edition of a Purely Arsenal sit-down podcast. We're here to discuss the 5-2 away hammering of West Ham, and I'm joined by Neil Shah. How you doing, Neil?
I'm good. Never too much of a chore to get up this early in the morning to discuss a 5-star performance, is it? Good to be on. Thank you, as always.
Top man, 5-star, 5 goals. James Johnstone is in the house. How you doing, James?
Hello. Yeah, no, thank you. It's great to be back here with you guys again. And Jack, you know, in the midweek, we had quite a big convo about a few things, and I said to you that I've been in this little, you know, podcasting world / realm since I was 18 years old, and in September I turned 33, and you know, it's been up, it's been down, and there's been so many things that have happened. And I just wanted to say before we started, obviously I've always been so grateful to you and Neil, obviously, for bringing me back into the realm and allowing me to do what I do and everything else. But I thought we were a Jose Mourinho side. We scored 10 goals in a week, but I thought we were a Jose side, Jack. I didn't understand. I don't know what I keep seeing. I keep seeing us scoring goals after goals after goals in away games. Yet I thought we were a Jose team, mate.
I know. Carragher's gone awfully quiet. Cat's got his tongue again. Yeah, absolutely. That is a ridiculous comment. Very lovely comments by you, but from the person in question, that's going to look stupider and stupider by the week, isn't it? And that's where the Arsenal fans or the club fans will get really frustrated with general analysis when they do stuff like that, because that's a sign to us that you're not really watching our team very, very well. Because if you're saying something like that, you weren't understanding at all. Look at the justifications we're getting for Manchester City and where they're at. None of that existed for us when we had, let's be honest, we had way more injuries. There's data going out there right now that we've had the most injuries in the league so far this season. So James, ridiculous comment, absolutely ridiculous comment. I agree, and we're just keep shoving it back down their throats.
It's not just the injuries; it's the fact that we used to get criticised for not having a plan B or a different style of playing. Now we've got two, and we're still getting criticised. So, it's the agenda, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is, and I also think not winning big things yet plays into that. If we had all of that analysis, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't dare touch it. You know, Neville and Carragher, but they're buoyed by it. They're buoyed by the fact that Arsenal are yet to make themselves top of the tree, if you want, and that's what's missing for us. And once that starts, that will get shut down, but it doesn't. It gets built and built and built, and people like it because they know it gets clicks and views. In Arsenal, we know what we're like. Well, you know, our fan base is one of the most, reactionary fan bases, especially on social media. So, but yeah, there's so many goals to discuss. We could discuss midweek goals as well because there's some fantastic ones there. We absolutely bashed Sporting. We'll get to that. We always discuss the most recent game. It was a massive game. It was a 5:30 game. North London derby. London derby. So many derbies for London teams, and Mikel Arteta's got a fantastic record in them. And I think I saw a data somewhere saying that we've scored the most goals away at West Ham more than any team has in the league away from home at any club or something since the Premier League began. So, and we continued it here. We got to talk about the lineup just a little bit, James. A couple of surprises again. You were right in not posting a predicted lineup because you probably felt, Mikel Arteta was again keeping something under wraps. And it does seem like these two injuries were announced quite late, though, in fairness. It seems like Thomas Partey almost failed a late fitness test. Marino has a knee injury, but we don't know the extent of that knee injury. It doesn't sound major, but we haven't been given much more information on that. Tell me if I'm wrong on that one. But And a couple of concerns in the game with injuries. James, the lineup after that, I wouldn't say it picked itself because Trossard came in, but Jorginho definitely, you felt that was obvious. I thought he was outstanding. Amazing how he can just drop into games when he's not been playing for weeks on end. Concerns though, I mean, anytime Thomas Partey gets an injury, especially a muscular injury, I would be concerned. Funnily enough, he'd had his longest running period of games for us. I think it was 18 in a row. So I guess something like this was around the corner. But the hope is that it's just a minor one, James. It's a little bit of concern because we seem to get injuries in pockets of areas. We get double in one area, don't we? But James, I mean, in the end, we handled it really well.
Yeah. I think what you said a minute ago is spot on as well, in that when you see a lineup and obviously you get the news about Thomas Partey and Moreno, I do believe, like you said, that was very, very late. I hadn't seen anything before the lineup went out. You know, we've got all these super duper accounts now that are charging, you know, upwards of £15 to £20 a month to let you know these things. Yet even they didn't know that these injuries had occurred at that time, at that place, and what have you. But yeah, I literally, as soon as that got put up, did my quote tweet and said, for like, fair enough. I still, you know, that's good enough to beat West Ham for me. But I put in there, I need a massive game from Jorginho and from Trossard today. And I think both of them delivered. You saying there, Jorginho, I think he didn't, apart from maybe the Arsenal fans, I don't think he got enough credit yesterday for how well he did just in general. I know, obviously, when you beat a team 5-2 and you have someone that makes such a significant attacking contribution, like we had with a few certain players, obviously they're the ones that are going to get the plaudits. They're the ones that are going to get the flowers on the day. But I thought, like you just said there as well, I thought Jorginho stepping into a role where, he, you know, myself, yourself, Neil, obviously Mike as well, everybody else that comes on this channel, we've all said about how influential and how brilliant Thomas Partey has been in the midfield this season. So for him to not be there and for Jorginho to come in and really it not drop off, to not drop that level, I think speaks volumes on how well Jorginho, and I thought Jorginho was brilliant against Forest as well, actually. The week before, and we mentioned that last week as well. So I'm glad that even in his advanced years and everything, where okay, maybe mobility wise, I know we say this about Partey, but we know Jorginho isn't blessed with the best mobility. He can still go out there and he can still have performances like this. And I think it goes back again to what Neil said last week. And you and him spoke about it a little bit, Jack, where you both said, okay, you know, you've got Mikel Arteta, that's that manager on the touchline, but the actual manager of the team on the pitch is Jorginho. You know, he is the guiding light of the team, giving out the instruction, doing what we need to do when we're on the pitch. And yeah, I thought he played really well. And obviously, not having Moreno as an option on the bench, that didn't affect us either. Against West Ham. So yeah, no, line-up wise, it was pretty much what I expected. And yeah, we got it done in that first half, which was a mad first half. But I know you're going to kick on and discuss that at length.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. It's interesting because me and you offline spoke about what do we do with Jorginho and Partey, and maybe we'll get to that at some point. You know, what do we do? They're both out of contract. They both can talk to foreign clubs from January. I expect, even though me and you both are kind of coming to terms with the fact that we probably should allow both of them to move on next summer, I think the club will definitely not do that. I think they'll try to keep one of them. Which one it will be, games like this throw it up in the air a little bit because you know, you don't know. We had El Neni for many years, didn't we? That didn't play much and played that coaching role. Jorginho's much more a part of the first team than he was. So I wouldn't put it past Arsenal to offer either player something coming towards the end of it. And I'm not against that as such. I just get the feeling we certainly won't do it to both, but be very interesting what happens. But he's such a good player. He's just such a good football player that he doesn't rely on physical attributes. When he rolls in, he just rolls in. He's just a veteran, isn't he? He just rolls in and he makes Rice better as well. I looked at the data throughout every game this season, and Rice had the most touches on the pitch in this game, other than Saliba, and that is rarely the case alongside Thomas Partey. So there's something about playing alongside Jorginho that Declan Rice just looks more comfortable. I don't think he was fantastic in this game, but he was definitely better than he has been for a lot of this season, I think. So maybe we'll discuss that a little bit too. I think we should go in chronological order, Neil, because there's just so much that happened in the game. It's hard to go back and forth. But Spurs got a few. I mean, we started well. I thought they started quite energetic, West Ham. They were pressing onto us. We were playing the ball a lot around the back, and we weren't necessarily sort of, creating a lot of chances early doors. But we did get a few corners early on, Neil. And when we get a few corners early on, we look dangerous. And they didn't look comfortable from any of them. Their goalkeeper didn't look comfortable. Their defenders were fouling us and pulling us down, and we were complaining about it. They just looked worried. And this little congestion thing we do now, where we just draw so far away from the goal into the back post and we just wait. And Lee Dixon is constantly moaning about us time wasting, which I do not understand. I don't know how anyone hasn't picked up on this being a tactic of us holding because we want to sort of catch him off guard a little bit and keep him flat-footed. We've done it for years now, and you've still got Lee Dixon, who's a dreadful commentator for as good as he was a footballer. Honestly, he should stick to managing restaurants, because honestly, he's shocking at commentating. But Neil, what can you say? Gabriel, Saka to Gabriel, it's water's wet. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is unreal. I mean, just before I touch on it, 13 goals in the last 3 games, 2 games away. It's quite an incredible turnaround. And of course, there's only one consistent in that, or one denominator for me, is Odegaard's return, and the relationship he's got with Saka is immense. It's so important for us, because it changes everything when they're both on the pitch at the same time. And again, it led to that combination, led to, I think, the second goal, which is a beautiful goal, which you'll talk about. But the first one, it's just become a trademark piece for us now. And I think you're right. I think the defenders were so scared of what we were doing when every time we landed a corner. I think there was one or two just before the goal, which were quite similar, but didn't just end up in the back of the net. So I think they were already a little bit kind of ruffled by that. But the goal itself, Saka landing it, pinpoint, amazing. Gabriel, what he does is amazing. But other players stood out for me in that goal as well. One's actually Rico, and the other one was Timber. And again, that they were, I think Rico was ghosting the player that was supposed to be defending, or got in the way of the person that was supposed to be looking after Gabriel. So he distracted him. And then obviously Timber, who was it argued, that could have been a penalty, could have been a foul. One of the blooming commentators or someone, I don't know who it was. It must have been Danny Murphy, I think, on Match of the Day. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Oh, there's always with us, there's always it's never just, they were great. It's always, but the other team didn't play well either. I mean, I've said it for years that when I hear that, I say, because we did not make them play well. We outplayed them. It's not that they were rubbish. We made them look substandard. And I'm sick of these pundits always consistently going on about, but they could have defended so atrociously, and all credit to Arsenal, but they were awful defending and they were awful doing this. I'm sick of it. That particular corner and that setup has become trademark, and Gabriel has been absolutely lethal with it. I don't know of any defender that I can remember for a long time that has been that effective in literally. He scored against Lisbon as well, didn't he? I mean, he's getting the ball in the net now, and he's absolutely devastating. It was a beautifully positioned, as I said, corner, but the way Gabriel got on and latched onto that area and just glanced it, that was a quality goal. I think any striker would have been proud of that, to be fair. And it just set us on our way, which led to an incredibly mad half. It literally was finished by the end of the first half. I mean, the second half, I don't know what you're going to talk about, but it was just a crazy, entertaining game. I mean, for a neutral, what a half of football. Absolutely mentally incredible. But yeah, great stuff from Saka. The numbers are just ridiculous with this kid. And I'm just so happy for the team as a collective, but also for certain individuals as well. Brilliant start.
Yeah, it was a great start. Broke the deadlock. We do it so often with set pieces. Second goal might have been the best goal of the game. I think the fourth one might have a little word. But James, the second goal was a great team goal. Goes into what Neil says about Odegaard. I mean, this is the fifth time this season, this calendar year, that we've scored 5 goals away from home. The joint most in a single calendar year by an English top-flight club since Sunderland in 1892 or Manchester City in 1937. Don't know what they were doing then. I don't think they existed since the last 10 years. But James, just that second goal was just a thing of beauty, wasn't it? And it was, it was made in Odegaard land, really, that goal. But again, Saka gets double figures for assists. There's a ridiculous stat out there on that one as well. But I'll get to that. But amazing, James.
Yeah, it's a classic Arsenal goal, isn't it? It's what myself has been brought up on as a child of the 90s, is that sort of free-flowing Arsene Wenger-esque football. And it goes to what you said there about Martin Odegaard. I mean, we mentioned it, didn't we, where people saying about injuries and what have you, and how it's not, it's not important, it shouldn't affect. Well, this guy has been out of our team. And what is it? It's 3 league games and 1 Champions League game. And I think he's either assisted or scored in all of them that he's been in since he's come back. So, yeah, I think he's pretty important, actually. Martin Odegaard, if you take him away. I actually do think he makes quite a big impact, that bloke, when he's not playing for Arsenal. I've seen many people even echo what you said previously as well, where they talk about the system and they're like, no, Martin Odegaard is the system. I know you said that last week when we were right. It's true. It is true. That guy is just a subliminal, absolutely sublime footballer. I can't say more about him. And I was glad that Trossard, put one in the net again, because he needs that. And he actually did do a celebration this time with Saka, which was lovely to see. It's like,
he doesn't when he starts.
Yeah, I'm like, you're not completely miserable. I'm like, that's good. That's good to see that. I'm like, that's someone who got his wage increase last week as well, didn't he? You could tell. I'm like, oh, he's a lot happier now. He's got his money bumped up and he's playing. But just quickly, if I can, just tread back. The first goal. What I loved is, obviously, like you said, there was a succession of corners there. But before that was taken, obviously, Timber and Gabriel said something, and then Gabriel just walked over there to where Saka was and just said something and they kept after the game, didn't they? They went to Arteta and went, what was it that was said there? And he went, nah. And they asked Timber on Sky, didn't they, Neil? I don't know if you saw the after. And they asked Timber as well, and he went, I'm not telling you. And Timber was like, well, I'm not telling you that. And they're like,
Zinchenko's writing a chapter in his book about it.
But he's like,
no. I tweeted that. I said, I love the way that he told Jamie.
Yeah. Don't tell them nothing. Don't tell them a thing.
He said, no, there's stuff here that we're you're not privy to, type thing. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I like it. But no, that second goal, that was absolutely magnificent. I mean, like you said, I'll wait for you to touch on the fourth, because I thought the fourth was a beauty as well. But no, really, really, just beautiful, beautiful football. And when you see that, you're thinking, I certainly did. I was like, oh, how many is it going to be again today? Because we did. It was 4 last time we were there. 4-0 up at half time. So I thought, oh, this is going to be amazing. I thought it could be a cricket score here, lads.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, that's the point where Saka, what is he at? 10 assists. I think in 13 Premier League games, he's had 10 assists. Only Harry Kane, Cesc Fabregas and Mesut Ozil have reached double figures in fewer games in a Premier League campaign. Saka's been involved in 15 of our Premier League goals this season. I think we've scored 26, and Mo Salah's been involved in 16. There's a lot of comparisons to him and Haaland at the moment, and Salah with the numbers. But I think you have to. What gets disregarded too much in general media is the defensive actions of those three players. And if you look up defensive actions of Bukayo Saka, you can all do it on your Squawka comparison matrix, wherever you want, and you compare it to Salah. Saka will lead out way beyond him in everything from duels contested to tackles made to aerial duels contested to ground duels won to general duels won. He is required to do far more defensively than Mo Salah, and that is what is so impressive about his attacking numbers. I have this argument with my brother all the time. He's like, well, he's got to be ahead of Salah. If we want to win the title, he's got to be ahead of Salah. I said, he does not play. Salah is a striker. Bukayo Saka is a right midfielder, right winger, and there's a difference. No, you're not watching it. You're not watching the two teams. You're not watching. Salah is basically given zero defensive responsibility majority of the time. Basically, they just say to him, just be an output merchant, and he's fantastic at it. I'm not denying that. There's no doubt, but they are not the same. They do not have the same roles in their team. They just that does not happen, and it's not even under Klopp. It didn't happen. I mean, it was even worse, I'd argue, under Klopp. He gave him even less defensive responsibility. But
well, Jack, I keep being told that he's not world class, but Foden and Palmer are, and I'm like, well, Foden and Palmer haven't got a goal or an assist the whole of November. This guy has had God knows how many.
The wrong shirt, James. Come on, you know that.
Yes, yeah, I know, but it's ridiculous.
Just interestingly, Jack, that stat where it's Fabregas, Ozil, Salah, and Saka. Fabregas is in there twice. Was that both at Arsenal? Was one at Chelsea, one Arsenal? Do you know?
On my data, it just says 2014-15, which would be Chelsea,
okay.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, if you remember when they first brought him, when Chelsea did first get him, he was electric for him, wasn't he? Because they started that season really, really well under Jose, and he was brilliant when they first brought him back, weren't he?
Yeah. I mean, Ozil ended up that season with 19 assists, but again, I mean, do we want to go into what his defensive actions were that season, Mesut Ozil? Because I'll tell you what, there'll be negative numbers on there, and they've never done that before on Squawka, but he'll be the first. So let's not get into that. Look, I'm not saying he wasn't brilliant that season, but let's not compare him, okay? Let's not compare him because of what they've done previously at other clubs. I hate all that stuff as well, that's where it comes from.
Saka plays games north of the Watford Gap as well, so that's the biggest thing you want to take into consideration between him and Mesut Ozil.
Yeah, back spasms during Twitch streams.com weekly. Yeah, we won't go into it, but brilliant. 2-0, you start to get comfortable a little bit. I'm not fully, but you're like, oh, okay, good. We're looking really, really good and similar in many aspects to last season. And then the penalty coming. I was so impressed by Saka with this penalty because it's soft. It is soft, but it's a penalty, and they can't overturn it because is it Paqueta or Emerson who makes the foul? I've got to rewatch it. But
it was Paqueta because I thought he had £10 on himself to do it. Because again, comment. Like you said, it's a lazy leg. And
it's a lazy leg, exactly.
People, you get the classic, oh, Saka's bought that. I'm like, Jamie Vardy and Harry Kane made a life for doing that.
Exactly.
So why is it okay? Yeah, but I'm like, why is it okay for them? Yet the minute Saka does it, he's, he's public enemy number one. He's this, that and the other,
Yeah, and... no, exactly. And I thought it was great. There seems to be a slight thing with maybe Saka, a bit like Henry, when he wins a penalty, he doesn't take it. I want to say the last time he didn't take one, it was similar. He won the penalty, but it's great football from Saka though. It's great feet, isn't he? He goes past one, goes past the other, slight contact. But
I'll tell you what, Jack. Just as well, in the build up to that, it comes from an initial long ball. The header back from Kai Havertz to start that move is superb. We're talking about. I know probably later on you're going to ask again about centre forwards and January, but in terms of a number 9 hold up, like link up play, bringing people in, that to me is that bit from Havertz. If you can watch it back, if you can find it, because I know obviously on some of the highlights that I've seen, the goal actually starts with Saka chopping and going through, and then it's the penalty, and then obviously they show the penalty. that from Havertz to start all that move off really is just superb centre forward play.
Yeah.
From what we want and what we need, it is absolutely beautiful from him to do that.
Yeah. He was also involved in the second goal as well, James. So
was he? I don't remember that part. I just remember it Odegaard onwards. But
no, just before Odegaard, he was involved as well. So just goes to show them, as what James was saying, the importance of how, even if he's not getting on the score sheet, which he did yesterday, but even if he's not, I think he's such a vital player for us. I've always said he's like Giroud on steroids. That's what I like about Havertz.
Keep him at centre forward. Just keep him at centre forward. Don't like it when he drops in. He had to in this game because, again, midfield injuries, but generally speaking, don't drop him in. Odegaard takes it. It's a lovely penalty from Odegaard. I think he probably is our best penalty taker, to be honest, naturally. I think he's probably, you could say Havertz too, actually. He's quite a good penalty taker, but Saka always, to me, has a little bit of an interesting way of taking penalties, you know, and sometimes it doesn't lead to a great execution. But his record, Saka, is actually very, very good on penalties, so I can't really argue too much with that. But
sorry to interrupt, just a quick one. I think I'd also like to say, you know, the thing you're saying, it could be they're doing what Henry used to do, and whoever wins the penalty doesn't take it. But I think yesterday with Saka, it wasn't more of a gesture to Odegaard to take it, because he even mentioned that after. I mean, I thought it while it happened, and then he actually in the interview he said, he just wanted Odegaard to take it, and I think it was like, you know, he's come back, he's made a complete difference to our fortunes, and he deserved a goal.
Yeah, so because this is first of the season,
exactly,
so you might be right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's
you're spot on, Neil. Because he did say. I remember him saying on Sky after it, he went, he's not got a goal this season yet. So he said, I thought I'd give him this to get him started off. So
he did it early doors against Palace last season away, didn't he? Or Odegaard got given the penalty, and that was like first or second game of the season. And he ended up scoring quite a lot and assisting quite a lot. So hopefully that kicks him in. Obviously, Odegaard's been out for 3 months, so we're not really looking at his numbers too much. But we know they'll come. He's too good. I think he's the best player in the Premier League, to be honest. Odegaard. I think we just, I really do. I think I'm watching him going, I think we've got the best football player in the Premier League. Basically, that's what I watch every week. That's basically where I'm at with it. If he can keep playing at this level, that's where I think. But let's see. We'll come back to that towards the end of the season and see where we're at. But at 3-0, you kind of feel like the game's over. And I think the fourth goal comes immediately after it. It's a great transition goal, isn't it, Neil? And it's not a goal that you typically, I wouldn't say we don't do. We definitely do goals in transition, but it's not something we typically do. I don't know what West Ham were doing. Obviously, they were trying to push up on us. But it's a lovely little flick from Odegaard to Trossard. It's a brilliant ball from Trossard over the top. Their centre-back's in no man's land. He can't be bothered to chase Havertz. And it's a really, really good finisher. But it's that type of goal is quite nice to see, I think, Neil, because it's not something I typically attribute to Arsenal.
No, it just added something else that we can do that's within ourselves and within our locker. Another bit of weaponry, if you like. And I don't know, I can't remember who actually broke up the play. Was it Odegaard? I can't recall, but it was Odegaard that laid it off to Trossard. Now, I will say this: I've been giving Trossard a lot of stick lately, and as we've always said, is almost our kind of our identity on this pod. We say it as we see it. So I'm not going to regret anything I've said. I don't think he's been anywhere near the levels that we expect of him ever since that goal he scored against Villa. And I think he has been almost like playing football as if he's got a strap on, and I don't understand what's been going on there. However, like Rice, I think he had a better game yesterday. He's obviously got a goal, and obviously now he got an assist as well. So you can't ask for more really from a forward player. But the layoff was great. But that was such a lovely, very quick thinking long pass to Havertz, very quick. I mean, it was literally first touch, instantaneous. So it was great vision and awareness from Trossard. I really like that. But it wasn't over there. It still wasn't over. And this is what I mentioned Havertz a minute ago. He still had to finish it, and it was a great finish, by the way. I've seen many strikers fluff that, Eddie Nketiah, even Martinelli. But he took it, and that is a player of confidence to me. I think Havertz has been nothing but confidence since 2024, and he's still showing it. I don't think if you haven't got confidence, I don't think you put that in the net. I really don't think you fluff it. But he took that really well, and my goodness me, what that was like within minutes of the third goal, was it not? It was so close to it.
No, it was so close that John calls me after every time we score.
Yeah.
And he called me and we scored after the third goal. Yeah. And whilst I was chatting to him for 30 seconds, because I immediately cut off because I don't want to hear, you're always about 10, 15 seconds ahead of me on the stream. He's screaming about the fourth goal.
Okay.
And so it was close. It was really close. Yeah. That has not happened before. So sorry. Carry on.
No, lovely. It was just lovely. And I think that at that point, I think most Arsenal fans were thinking, "Oh God, this is over, and let's see how many we can score." But just going on about that, we tend to do that, don't we? We've done that last season, and I remember years when we had the great Wenger teams. You know, we'd get 4 goals in the first half, but then we wouldn't add on it. I think other teams might go and say, "Let's get another 3 or 4 more and have a cricket score here." But we always seem to take the foot off the gas, and so it's not something that it's unusual that we kind of decelerate. But I just want one game where we scored 10 goals. Just want to see it happen. It'd be great, wouldn't it? But no, that was it was a wonderful goal. It was brilliant stuff.
Arteta's quotes were quite interesting on that period after the 4th goal. He said it's fine to give away one. I'm plagiarising here a little bit, but he said it's fine to give away 1 goal, like we did. But he said when you give away 2 in quick succession like that, at 4-0, he said you give them hope. And he said the last thing you want to do is give a team, when you're 4-0 up, any hope at all and get the crowd. And we have to learn, he said we have to get better at when there is no hope, making sure that you're shutting the door on it, basically. And I think even as a sporting game, there was that, and what's great about both games mimicked each other in that the penalty, there's a second penalty in this game, they came at the opportune time because it was all just a bit, I wouldn't say we were under the cosh. West Ham didn't create much in the first half, but it just came at a time where you just felt we'd taken our foot off the gas, we'd stopped playing our way a little bit, we'd relaxed into it a little bit, which is probably human nature at 4-0, I guess, or at 3-0 away from. But I'm happy we're not doing it 1 or 2-0 where we've done it before. So there's definitely improvement there. But yeah, things can change so quickly in football. And James, the goal, if we go on to their one, we always talk about both of them, James. The first one, where do you regard the error? It's a good pass, but Trossard's man, Calafiori's man, it's a mix-up between the both of them. Where do you stand with that?
Yeah, I think it's both. I'm like, you got to, like we've said before on here, you got to communicate with each other. I think both were just too. I don't know. I don't want to really dig players out. I don't like doing it, but the more I'm seeing from Calafiori, especially away, I'm like, you are sus, mate. And I get part of his game. Part of what makes him special is that risk factor, which is why I think Arteta loves him so much, is that when he's on the ball and he's advanced, you know you're going to get a lot of turnovers with this guy because of the amount of risk that he takes. But you're willing to accept that because obviously you got 2 of the best when he does lose the ball to get past, and then you got a very, very good goalkeeper to try and get past as well. But yeah, I didn't think he had a good game at all yesterday, Calafiori, for me. Weren't one of his better games. After seeing how well he did against Nottingham Forest defensively compared to the other side of the game, I was quite disappointed with what he churned out there yesterday. I think he, I'm not going to be overly critical because it was a 5-2 win. But yeah, I didn't think his performance was up to scratch compared to everybody else, sadly. But yeah, it's a really, really good pass. It's a lovely ball from, I think is it Soler from West Ham, who plays it in, and Wan-Bissaka just really got it and took it well. And like you said, you're going, oh, okay, well, we all know it's only one. Let's button down the hatches here, lads, and keep playing our game and try and score some more. And then, the second one, I know I don't want to sit here and whinge going, oh, it's not a foul in the first place, bloody refs and everything, because we know all the refs are crap. We don't have to get back on that conversation. But again, it's a worldie. I don't care what goalkeeper you've got in the net. That's an unbelievable free kick that was. I thought that was Payet being reincarnated, the way that he bent that and it hit the bar. You know, anything that hits the bar on the way down and goes in makes it look even. They're always better goals. And that free kick was just sensational. So I have no real complaints on that one. But yeah,
it wasn't a free kick.
No, oh yeah, I know. But,
it's a ridiculous free kick to give away.
The ball, when he trips over Rice, the ball's like already disappeared. So that shows how early Rice got the ball.
He just runs into him on the floor
completely cleanly, and you could see at the replay, it's a different angle. The ball was already way away from both the players because he made the contact so much earlier. Rice did.
Yeah, it wasn't ball one player at all.
But the ref was right in front of it. He was right in front.
Yeah,
that was not a free kick. Yeah, it was a great, as James just said, amazing free kick. Can't take, you got to take your hats off at that. Brilliant. We would be proud of it. Like their first goal, you'd be pretty proud of that pass, no matter how lax our defence was. That was a great, it sliced us in half, that pass. But that was not a free kick. But there you go again. You see what I mean? It's even this game, which shouldn't have had any talking points, still have a couple of talking points, which is getting boring to me.
Yeah, and they made a game of it there a little bit for a few minutes at least, and the fans that had not left yet were getting a little excited. But I was frustrated with that one, like particularly because the first one you just put down to where I agree with you, James, a little bit on Calafiori. I mean, he's clearly. I think he'll get it. I think he'll learn from it. That's where I'm at with him. I don't think Zinni will. I think we're at the stage where we know he won't. We know his errors. We know his flaws. But even in midweek, Calafiori, the goal was really his fault, Calafiori's, from the corner. He fell over. Whatever he did, you've got to just stand in front of an Asho there, but he falls over. And loses his footing, and you can't do that as a defender. You've got to be stronger and better than that. So I think, he's definitely going backwards, got a little bit of worry. He's obviously fantastic on the ball and really, really good on the ball. And I think his flaws are easier to correct than Zinchenko's. I still think he will get better from it. He's clearly managing him as well, like minutes wise, but I hope he didn't come off with feeling something and it was just sort of tightness or fatigue. Definitely was a conversation with Mikel Arteta there somewhere though. But let's see, because we can't really afford to lose another fullback. But he's played Timber Calafiori, every game this week, hasn't he? Every single game he started them, but he's also tried to remove Calafiori at the earliest opportunity. So but we've got a lot more depth on the left back.
That's what he said, didn't he? He said, I've got to manage his minutes. And I'm like, well, you seem to manage the minutes on the left-hand side, but you're running Timber. But then we haven't, until Tomiyasu comes back. Yeah. I'm like, what you going to chuck? I know he sometimes has chucked Rice as a centre-back. I'm like, you're going to chuck Rice at right-back? Can't be doing that, mate. Can't be doing that. And then do you really want to be playing a left footer? You could put Kiwior out there, out wide, but Kiwior at the moment is, he takes a few minutes to get going, doesn't he, when you bring him on, Kiwior? But, the last two cameos that he's had, he's not fulfilled, himself. He hasn't really adhered himself brilliantly. He looked shaky when he come on against Sporting, but then he obviously grew into it, and I think he looked quite shaky when he come on yesterday, Kiwior as well. Yeah,
I thought he was a little better than at Sporting. I felt he got sort of hit by a few fouls that weren't fouls. I remember sort of watching him up against Bowen and thinking he did really well there, and they give a free kick against him, and I went, okay. But he doesn't naturally look anywhere near the strength level that we need from a left centre back, in terms of what we've got from Gabriel. I mean, now we've seen what that level is like. Our backup centre back is Ben White, really, and that's the problem. He's our backup centre back because Saliba can play left centre back because he's done it for France now. So you could play Ben White in right centre back, or whatever. You could play either role, couldn't he? Or we could adjust for either role. So that's the problem.
He played Tomiyasu. He played Tomiyasu a lot of centre back last season, didn't he? So
Kiwior's really our fifth choice centre back, but we haven't. He's now our backup centre back because we are injury ravaged.
So you won't be getting your striker. You'll be getting another defender in January. Well, hey.
I wouldn't be surprised, mate. Well, yeah, absolutely. We know the fetish that exists there, so I wouldn't be surprised at all with the centre back stuff or the defender stuff. But what was it? It's just 4-2, and I wouldn't say they really didn't create a lot. I mean, I think they ended up with like 1.46 expected goals, and I think that flatters them as well. I'm not seeing where that came from really. I mean, 2 free kicks they had. The goal obviously was a decent chance, and the Ings chance in the 90th minute where he went around the goalkeeper was probably a heavy XG chance because that was almost an open goal for him. But I don't remember anything else other than that, to be honest. I don't remember them within that period of the first 40 minutes, nothing. And to be honest, in the whole of the second half, whilst we didn't create a ton, we were still the better side, and I don't recall them really laying a glove on us. Really, I don't really recall anything too much from them, despite them being 3 goals down. But yeah, 4-2 is it's interesting, isn't it? The pen. I mean, James, whenever we get a pen, I don't look at the text because I want to wait to see what happens with the goal. But you said defo pen. The reason I was quite surprised the ref gave it is if you look at the ones we've had in the past sort of 12 months, we never get those. I mean, what was the one that recently, Inter, Marino? It was almost identical to this, wasn't it? Marino goes up.
I thought the Marino was worse.
Worse, possibly, yeah. Punch in the head.
Punch straight in the head.
Yeah, the Sanchez one on Jesus was definitely worse, wasn't it? I mean, he almost knocked Jesus unconscious for that, and they just played it on. So this one, it was, clear, it was quite close, but he punched him in the head, basically. I mean, it was an obvious foul to me, and I definitely thought it was a penalty, but I was surprised that the ref gave it to us. Sadly, that's the way I looked at it. But it's definitely a foul. Probably the bigger concern there is whether Gabriel's all right from it, because a few minutes later at half-time he comes off. He didn't come off for a concussion substitution, but us not announcing that doesn't necessarily negate the fact that he had one. He looked fine after it, though if it's a mild concussion, he may well look fine after it, just like headache, dizziness, that kind of stuff. So we don't really know, but I presume we didn't announce it, so we can monitor him over the next few days and try to have him ready for Wednesday, and let's hope he is. If he's put truly in a concussion protocol, then Wednesday would be too short for him. I think the protocol at elite football level is still about 5 days. At like younger level, which is the level I work with, it's 7 days because the inertia of the brain and more susceptible under the age of sort of 19, 20. But so he would still be short for Wednesday. But that was probably the biggest. I mean, great to get the penalty and perfect timing. James had a fantastic, result for Saka because he deserved a goal. And it wasn't a fantastic penalty, but he definitely deserved a goal. But the big concern would probably be Gabriel's health at the end of that, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. And it was a big goal that we needed at that time. I know, obviously, being 4-2 up, but like you said, I think we let them back in, and they were getting a bit loud, and obviously we just needed to shut them back down again. And I didn't understand why it took so long, because for me, my whole thing was, but he's punched him after he's got the header away. I was like, the contact comes through after he's made the header. So I was like, that's the keeper, that he's late. Fabianski's late, and he's made contact with his head in the bot. I just couldn't foresee how you can say that's not. I mean, I know me and Neil, obviously we have this discussion a lot about them, so I could probably, I'm sitting here going, I can't see how they wouldn't give it, but actually on hindsight you're probably thinking, with this lot they'd find a way to not give it. But
you can't overturn it. That's the one thing about it. Most of the pens you can't overturn. And
I was shocked because I was shocked as well. I don't want to obviously make it a massive pile on West Ham. I'm still shocked as to how it's not a red, because I'm like, okay, you've deemed that it's, I'm not necessarily saying violent conduct, but you've classed it as a foul in the box. And so I know that there's this double jeopardy thing, but I don't know if, I thought double jeopardy can only come into effect when it's
last man.
Yeah, that's what I always believed. So maybe I've got that wrong. Because again, I understand that it's not necessarily, violent conduct in the fact that he's gone, I'm just going to jump and punch Gabriel in the head. He's obviously gone with the intent of, I'm going to try and win the ball.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm like, at the end of the day, you've basically left hooked somebody in the box. Whether you've gone for the ball or not, you've absolutely, walloped a player in the head. And it was like I put in the WhatsApp chat that we've seen from the initial goal and even the goal at Sporting, we know the venom that Gabriel attacks the ball at. So you're thinking he's met a goalkeeper who's trying to clear that with his left hand, and the venom that he's gone to punch that ball away. So you're saying there's a full-on connection with that hand to a guy who's full pelt going like that. To me, it has to be a red. It has to be a red card as well.
Possibly.
I didn't understand it.
It's certainly not as bad as the one in midweek with Diamonde, where he was already a yellow.
Oh, God, yeah.
And last man, because then the jeopardy doesn't come into it. It's just a second yellow. Yeah. His last man.
Yeah, but he could have gone multiple times even before that penalty incident. That bloke, yeah.
That was shocking. Lucky again, it didn't turn out to matter on our end, but it was shocking. I mean, if that was against us, like you say, I mean, there's no way our defender doesn't go off at that point. So I find that very interesting. But at that point, I did relax again. To be honest, I was like, okay, 3 goals up at half time. What can we really be complaining about, other than the frustration of conceding 2 goals? Where I think the scoreline flattered them. To be honest, I think at half time, I think it flattered them. 5-2 flattered them. I really do. I mean, I think we ended up with 3.2 xG according to some. It's 2.9, but I think about 3. But and obviously 2 penalties included there. But we were so much collectively better. Neil, a player I want to kind of mention, I think James touched on him and you did it as well, is Timber. He had the most duels won, and he won more fouls than any other player. But what's really interesting is he completed more take-ons than anyone, and other than Saka, he had the most touches in the opposition box. He's a player that a lot of people question his attacking ability early on in the season as a fullback, and I think people don't quite understand the post-recovery of an ACL tear and what this player's doing at this stage of post-ACL recovery, which is sort of 3 months after it. He's a tremendous player, and he's clearly more comfortable in an attacking sense from the right-back position. I think he prefers playing right-back, to be honest, but he can definitely do a job for us at left-back. But he's becoming a real key member of this team, Neil. And while I think Ben White is fantastic in terms of a right back, it's going to really find it difficult to flow back into that position straight away, isn't he?
Yeah, I worry for Ben White because I really love Ben White, and I think he's going to struggle. I think you're right. I think he might have to reassign him as backup, maybe a backup when we have injuries, or if it's rotationally reasons to use him that way, because I think Timber, firstly, as you said, I don't understand the criticism he was getting, because he's not going to be like rushing forward and being a super striker as well as a super defender straight after coming back from such a horrific injury. It's going to take him a bit of time to bed in. But even when his first few games, I remember he was still doing stuff. That was, you think, you can see how talented this guy is. I said it last season that if he hadn't got that injury, I think he would have been probably up there as one of our players of the season. It's just unfortunate that he got injured so early on, and we didn't get to see him. But now we're starting to see the reasons why Ajax were probably reluctant to let him go. That lovely video that they did for him, and how much they were, wax lyrical about the guy, and his fans were. We were getting a real gem of a player here. And I agree. I think, yes, it's great that we've got the option to use him on both sides. But I think the fact that what he's got, Odegaard and Saka, arguably the 2 best players in the Premiership, on that side with him, I think it's going to be such a devastating right-hand side for us. It's going to be lethal. My only concern is we need to do something on the left to kind of balance it up a little bit, because we're just going to be too right orientated, and we want the options of being able to to hit teams on both sides, of course, to give us that versatility. But as far as Timber's concerned, oh my God, I mean, the stuff that he was doing, I mean, I feel, how can I say, when he's got the ball, when he like a bit like Saliba, that when he's in trouble, that somehow, because of the way he is, just the way he carries himself, it doesn't look like he's going to do it, but he's going to get us out of trouble. We've almost become attuned to it now. I mean, yeah, he made a bit of a balls up near the end where they could have scored. Ings could have put the ball in the net, but generally Saliba's just unbelievable, isn't he? And I'm starting to get a bit of that with Timber now, that he makes you feel confident when there's a bit of trouble if he's defending, or alternatively when he's up the other end. He's going to make things happen. And I don't think he loses the ball that often. And he's very assured. And I like the way he carried himself in the interview as well afterwards. So I think generally he's another Arsenal player that fits in, not only as a player on the pitch, but he's working good, behind the scenes as well. And he's just a great character to have. But I mean, I think we're blessed to have him, guys. I really do. And the thing is, he's going to get better. It's going to get even better.
One thing I've noticed with him is I think Saka has a little bit more license to do less defensive work with him. And I don't want to say this is Ben White throughout, because it's definitely been a more recent thing. But I think when we've had really tricky wingers going up against Ben White, I think Saka knows that he almost has to protect a little bit, because Ben White isn't great against those speedy, tricky wingers. If you've got Matoma or Rashford or someone like that, you're going...
I think you're right, Jack. I think you're right. But just he had been carrying something.
Yes, this season he had, for sure.
This season, I think we can excuse him for that. But you're right. I think generally, tricky wingers.
Yeah, it's not as natural for him. I mean, Ben White is a centre-back converted to full-back as well, so you've got to give him credit there as well. You're in Timber... I know he's played centre-back a lot as well, but he strikes me as someone that is much more natural in the full-back position. So that's the difference there too. I mean, Ben White, I think, is a fantastic player to have. And but it's not necessarily maybe some of those things as natural as him as it is for Jurgen Timber. But I think Timber's got all the attributes to be the best fullback in the league, to be honest. I mean, obviously it's early days and just coming into the team and stuff like that, but he is fantastic. James, your thoughts on Timber and the fullbacks, because we're really going to need him. We've got to keep him fit. We've got to keep him fit.
Oh, that's like I put in the WhatsApp chat. I'm a very, very heterosexual male. However, I'm getting, I'm having feelings for this man. The more I watch him, I think he's absolutely brilliant. It just like Neil said, you just think about if he did stay fit last season. There was a 2-point difference there last year, and the way that he's winning the duels, and like you said, he does allow Saka to stay up high and do more at that side of the pitch. And you just think if he did stay fit and he did play more, even at left back or right back last season, what could have happened? If our attacking players had been allowed more license to roam and more license to do what they do up that end of the pitch, maybe some of them games that were draws or losses, could we have actually turned it around with a player like him in there? I can't say any more about the guy. I think at Sporting, there were so many people that even had him as man of the match. Like I always keep saying, I love that after a game, I can turn on a Twitter or I can go in our group that we've got, and all of us might have a different man. And that to me shows the strength of the team and how well we've played when we can all pick different people that we think were man of the match. And I did see yesterday a few people with even him in with a shout. And that's what I want. I think he's absolutely sublime. I think he's a brilliant, brilliant player. And I do. Regardless of, I know he's had the injury and everything else like that, I think Ben White has got to really, really fight for his place. But I don't mind that. And I don't think Ben would mind that either. I think Ben understands. I think Ben White could see the writing on the wall anyway. That it was, I wouldn't say it was a gradual sort of like phasing out, but as much as I know he says he doesn't watch football and he's not interested, he's at training every day. He's obviously watching our games and doing the stuff. He knows how good Timber is. I think you'd be an absolute fool if you didn't realise how good of a footballer this guy is. So, and I think Ben White will relish it, because there'll be times where, you can play both of them if we need to, or you can pick one or the other depending on the opponent and what have you. And like we said, Timber's still coming off that ACL. He's got to have his minutes managed. I do believe that he is playing an awful lot of games, and fingers crossed nothing does happen to him, because he, like you said, he's becoming a really, really important cog in this Arsenal side.
The way we developed Cashley Cole when he ended up becoming one of the best on the other side, and then he won numerous things with Chelsea. I think Ajax created one on the right, and then we're going to reap the benefits of him.
Similar stature, similar attributes going both directions, I think. Obviously, he's a bit more stocky than Cole.
I just love it. I just love his tenacity, though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Didn't you love that moment where, sorry to interrupt you, Joe, didn't you love that moment where I think Emerson was being a bit, the typical twit that he is, and Saka just comes in and backs him up, and he's got that feistiness about him, Timber, and I love the fact that Saka's got a little bit of it as well now. Yeah. And they just.
But it's a bit like. Do you remember when we did the post Spurs one, and obviously he had the incident at what I love about him is he'll start something, and then he just, right when all the players, he'll just go right round the back of them. And he'll go back to where he's supposed to be, and the ref's like, "Oh, excuse me," and he's like, "Well, I'm not there, mate." Like, he's so clever, a bit like Ben White's got that little twig in his head of causing a bit of stuff, cause a little bit of ruffle a few feathers. But what I like, Ben White will ruffle them, but then he'll stay. And it's just like, no, Timber will be like, right, I'll set this off, and then just zoom, and he'll run away for it. He'll be like, I haven't done anything. Like, well, I'm not even there. I'm over here. Like, what are you talking about? That's what I like about him. He gets in there, does what he needs to do, and then just, backs away, lets everybody else deal with it. But yeah, no, that was a really, really good match, and for Saka as well. For him to, we've never seen him like whack with his chest and his shoulder into something, be like, piss off type fit. Yeah, I was happy for him. I was like, yeah, go on, Saka, get in there as well.
Actually, at Tottenham, Saka was right in there as well, which was good.
Yeah,
he really backs Timber up, I noticed. So they got the right hand pod's looking fantastic, isn't it? But again, like you say, we don't have a lot of option. We need one of Tomiyasu or Partey back. More, obviously for the midfield for Partey because he's been so good. But might even be for the right back as well, really, because Tomiyasu, we don't even know what country he's in at the moment, do we? Where he's getting treatment. I mean,
even if that Nichols can have a growth spurt, that'd be amazing. I don't think he's going to, but it'd be amazing if
we haven't got any rotational option there. My issue is, otherwise, are you just playing Timber 90 minutes, you know what I mean? Like, because who's even rotating in there? And that's my concern. I'm looking at it going, what are you doing, bringing on Kivior and playing him at right back? It doesn't even work, does it? So that's worrying. But second half, we made a lot of changes. Obviously Calafiori came off early, Gabriel came off for Kivior. Zinni was cropping up everywhere, wasn't he? Clearly knew the game was 5-2. He was right wing for half the game. I tell you, he doesn't lack confidence, the boy, does he? No matter where he's at in terms of minutes and whatnot. He does look like at the moment he is the predominant sort of backup to Calafiori in terms of, if we're trying to manage his minutes. Lewis Kelly, I don't think, was in the squad, so I don't know what's happened there with him. And obviously Kivior's being used a little bit more at centre-back. So, and then I guess I want to talk about, James, is Sterling. I mean, I was really annoyed with Sterling in this game, and I've heard some fans talk about him being really lazy for us in games, and I have to say I've not really watched games and thought that's my biggest issue with him, but in this one I felt he came on and he was lazy with the ball, walking, and without the ball there was an instant where Wan-Bissaka had been switched to left back and he just bypassed him like he wasn't even there. And I can't imagine Mikel Arteta being anything but absolutely livid with him for that moment. And when he talked about, it's on me for him not to get more minutes, it's not though, is it? It's on Sterling. You've got to be better than that, because you're not going to get any more minutes than that if you're playing like that. And I thought he was wasteful with the ball as well. He had a chance, he should have crossed it, hit it into the side netting. It's just not good enough, James.
Yeah, I've spoken, obviously, with you, Neil, at length, didn't we, on it over on my show about him and about how, Arteta's not been bringing him on, and why have you got him there if you're not going to do anything with him? And obviously, there's been the reports about his effort in training, And then even, he's late. Apparently his timekeeping's not been at best. He's been reprimanded on his timekeeping. And you saw midweek that he was, dressed and ready to come on midweek against Sporting. But then the Gabriel incident happened, and he actually said to Sterling, sorry, you got to sit back down because I'm going to bring Kivior on. Because obviously the Gabriel, he felt something, didn't he, on his side and whatever on his thigh. And then he had to check. And you saw how upset and aggrieved Sterling looked at not being able to come on midweek. So even though it's 5-2 in this game and he's coming on, you're thinking, right, okay, you didn't get on in midweek and you didn't look too happy about it. Go out there and show me something. And like you said about the laziness when he gets the ball and everything else like that, the best way I could describe it, and I'm sorry, it's a really, really weird analogy, but on FIFA now, if you hold down one of the back buttons, that's your normal sprint, as in as soon as you get the ball, your little man goes da, 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 and he's away. But now you've also got on the first back button a sort of sprint where it's like a strafe, so you're sort of gliding, but you're still running, but you're gliding. But he just seemed to have just get it and just. And I'm like, you've got the whole lot of that byline. I'm like, go.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's your game. Your game. Sterling's game. I mean, okay, he's nowhere near as blessed of the pace that he had when he was at Liverpool, because obviously he's been injured quite a bit. He's been kicked, but he's, and he's 29's not old by any means, but he's an older type. But I'm literally like, go. Like, what are you waiting for? But it was like he was half-assed, Jack. Like he didn't care. And I'm looking at it thinking, you've got no way back in at Chelsea. So whilst you're on loan at Arsenal, surely you want to impress, not just for the point of view of, I can still get a good wage and potentially have a career at Arsenal, which, as fans, we'll say we're the biggest club and the best club in the country. But, obviously. But I'm like, even if you don't get one at Arsenal, you still want to impress from the point of view of, Chelsea are going to sell you regardless. So you want to show something, because even though, I hope Arsenal don't touch him with a barge pole based on how he's been. However, I'm like, have you got no motivation whatsoever in yourself to try and, because I'm like, you're playing for your career here, mate. You've got one last big payday that you're potentially going to get at 29. And, there's no other way for me to describe it, but I'm like, you're fucking about.
Yeah. Like,
okay, the free kick weren't too bad, but yeah, like you said, the initial effort and the defending with Wan-Bissaka and everything, just like couldn't be bothered. Just couldn't be bothered. And I'm like, do you know what? Stay on the bench, because I know you've said about Ethan potentially coming on and playing out wide. I don't necessarily see that myself, but we got to have.
He wouldn't let that happen. No way.
Yeah, but we got to have someone in the academy that's coming through out wide, or if, and again, I don't want to jump the gun, so rein me in if we're not, but if in January we do sign the high output winger that we're talking at, either a high output winger or a centre forward, I'm like, you're done now. Your Arsenal career's done now. If we sign the high output winger in January, he's finito now, Sterling, because I'm like, you're showing absolute, apart from potentially Carabao Cup against lower league teams, you're showing absolutely nothing. I thought after Forest getting that assist for Ethan in that cameo, he'd have a bit of fire in his belly in it. But yeah, he just like he couldn't be asked.
Yeah, worrying. Well, I mean, it's worrying in the sense of if we want to give him more minutes, but I don't think we will. So, I'd give those wide minutes to Wanyeri if we're not playing him more centrally. Funny enough, I think Wanyeri, although he didn't play much in this game, I think we will see him more now we're playing this style again. It was where we were decided to go a different sort of plan B route without Odegaard, but now it's almost like you want to mimic what Odegaard's doing when you're bringing him off. And even if we get him an Odegaard off for 10, 15 minutes, it's more than we were getting him off for last season. So that's something. And Ranieri, he can take us that level with tired legs. Ranieri can really do bits. So I would use him there, and I would have no problem in using him in Saka role. The problem is when you see Saka and Martinelli and what they do defensively, it's so obvious when someone is not pulling their weight from the wide positions. So when you see that's the one thing I was having an argument a little bit on Twitter about. I didn't think Jesus did that bad when he came on in this game. I don't think he was amazing. But the one thing I've never ever thought about Gabriel Jesus is he's a bit lazy. I've never thought that. I've been annoyed. I've been frustrated. I've never gone, you're lacking a bit of effort out there, Gabby. Like, I've never thought that about Jesus. I've always thought you're almost giving too much effort.
That I was just about to say, the biggest criticism you have with Jesus is you're doing too much.
Yeah, tries too hard. Yeah. Same in this game, wouldn't it? He'd go 3, 4, 5. And the good thing in this game was when he did do that and he overdid it, he'd win a free kick, and you were like, okay, you've done your bit there. But obviously not enough for his wage and his everything. I'm not saying he is, but he's definitely far more reliable than Sterling at this point. There's not a question in my mind about that. I just don't see where Sterling's getting more minutes if he's playing like that. I mean, his minutes should be decreasing after a performance like that. So that was the one negative, I guess, of the second half, plus the obvious injury concerns. Just a quick one or two things before we go on midweek. Brilliant performance midweek, 5-1. Amazing. Probably flattered Sporting as well, to be honest. Fantastic again. I mean, fantastic performance. What were your thoughts on Gutierrez? Gabriel and Saliba did a right job on him. I still wasn't unimpressed by Gutierrez necessarily. I just thought we were fantastic against him. I thought we just knew how to handle him. And let's be honest, we've done that to Haaland and we've done that to Kane, so there's no shame in it. But I just wonder what your thoughts were on him, Neil. What your thought? I mean, you don't watch him too much probably, but we handled him really well, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, in a weird way, I was a bit disappointed because I wanted to see what he could do if we were going to land him. But of course, we didn't want him to damage our game. So I was kind of a little bit in the middle of it. I was sitting on the fence thinking, you're going to play better than that or not? Are you going to be more effective than that? But then I realised it's not about him not doing his thing. It's because our two boys were just superb, weren't they? I mean, Christ. I can't. It's just so nice to have that comfort at the back against arguably the most, one of the most lethal strikers out there at the moment in Europe, and what he's doing. I mean, look what he did to City. I mean, he just destroyed them. Yeah, right. Some people might argue that City are not actually on it at the moment. I'm not going to. We can never make excuses. Why should they? They've won the league 4 years on the trot. They've done the treble. I mean, no, I'm not having that. City is still City as far as I'm concerned, and he destroyed them, yet we contained him. So if just from that game, it's hard to judge. The only thing I would say, and I don't know if that concerns you two, I don't like this man. I don't like Rio, James, but he was saying up against, a proper good defensive duo like Saliba and Gabriel are, is he going to be as effective in the Prem if he does come to the Prem? And I'm sure you two know better than I do about that. But that was the only kind of thing that I was thinking, does he have a point there? I don't like you, mate, but do you have a point there? I'm not sure. Or is it just because Gabriel and Saliba are just so supreme and, they're the only two that will stop him? It's going to make a difference because he'll be playing in the same team as us. So I think he obviously has got something really special about him. He has played English football in the past. I mean, you can't really compare the two levels, but he has been there. But what I'm saying from that, he's familiar with that environment of being in England, and that's what's important, I think. He's not one of these new overseas players that's going to have to acclimatise, etc. He's been there before. He knows what it's all about. I'm talking like we're going to get him like I'm doing transfer stuff. Sorry, I'll shut up in a minute. I'm not going to talk too much about him because I haven't seen him. I'm just going to be just waffling. So I'll just say I think our boys did a great number on him, and it's just good to know that we have got quality in the back to deal with quality strikers in Europe, because that's going to be so important in the Champions League. And let's be honest, Sporting Lisbon hadn't even lost games. They'd hardly conceded at home. Am I right in thinking, or something stupid? That a crazy stat, and we go there.
Haven't lost at home for 18 months.
Right. Look at that, and we go there and dismantle them.
Yeah, but that's it, Neil. It wasn't, like you said earlier, weren't how good Arsenal were. Oh, now their manager's left. They're a terrible side. Yet, before the game started, all that build-up on TNT, they did about 40 minutes of a video all about them, all about the new manager. Oh, they won 6-0 in the Cup at the weekend. Arsenal can't take these for... As soon as we started banging the goals, oh, no, Amarin's gone.
Narrative changes.
They're doing... McManaman, like I said... He was close to the pile, wasn't he? He was close to the pile.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Sorry, I won't speak. I can't remember. Because of yesterday's game, everything's become sort of, amalgamated into one. So I've forgotten a lot about that game now, and I shouldn't have done. That's blasphemy. But you know what I mean. What I'm trying to say. But what I remember so distinctly, whoever those two, McManaman and whoever the other guys, James would tell me.
Yeah, Fletcher. Yeah. He's a wanker as well.
They were so. It doesn't matter how good we were doing, Jack, and how dominant we were and how many number of goals we were scoring. They were just going on about Lisbon. And then they got so excited when they got that goal back. It was almost as if, now watch out, Arsenal, because they did the same to City, This is their game plan. They were like saying it was normal that we would get 2 or 3 goals in front and then they would come back because they only get started when they go a couple of goals down. Oh, really? And they were so happy when they scored. But even when they went 5-1 down, all we were hearing about was blooming Lisbon. I'm sick of it. I'm not surprised, but it's so sickening and boring to hear.
Yeah. It leaves us 7th in this new format of Champions League tables with relatively, I don't want to say kind, but very, 2 home fixtures out of the next 3 left, and they're 2 in a row. I think we've got... I'm losing
Monaco and
Zagreb before a away game to Girona. If you can win those 2 home games, I think you basically see yourself into the top 8. I don't love it. I don't really know yet, but I quite like the new format. It's just crazy, isn't it? I mean, you got Real Madrid down in 23rd place or something, and Bayern Munich in 17th, and Manchester City in 15th. Though for a minute they were like 6th, and then they've dropped to 15th. And I was like, it's quite funny when you look at it like that. I can't really tell. I mean, obviously, you want to be in that top 8 because if you're not in that top 8, you play an extra round now, don't you, basically? And you don't want to be doing that. I mean, with the amount of games we've got in the league, you've got to try to get yourself in the top 8. So the hope is we get ourselves into the top 8 and that maybe someone like City don't. Though I'm almost certain they probably will. But... That would be the hope. If we win our 2 home games, I think that I can't really tell with points wise, but I think that basically will see us into the top 8. So that'll be really, really good. And then we'll be able to, but I don't really know if within the top 8, it matters much where you are. I know Liverpool are top of it and they'll probably finish top of it. I'm not sure if it matters much where you're at, and I don't think the fixtures are very balanced either. Like, I think we've had quite hard fixtures, you know what I mean? Like we've had that, and Liverpool played some hard teams, but the hard teams they've played have been terrible this season, and they've been at home against Real Madrid and Leverkusen, which is interesting. But we played Atalanta away, very, very good this season, and very good last season. And Inter away, they haven't conceded a goal in the Champions League. So it's quite interesting. It's not very even, but it's definitely more interesting than playing the same team twice in a row and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely more interesting. I probably prefer the format, but hopefully we can make it into the top 8. Before we go, boys, we've got 2 games coming up. I don't know if I'll be able to do a midweek podcast. I'll try to do a little 5-minute instant reaction, which I'm trying to do at the moment. So appreciate anyone listening to those. But what's your predictions, Neil? We got Man U on Wednesday, really tough one at home with them, new manager, etc. I think they play Everton tomorrow, and we got Fulham away on Sunday, and we all know how we did against Fulham last season. So what's your predictions for those 2? It's 2 tough games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously they got the new manager bounce. They want to impress him, and I think the only saving grace is we're at home, aren't we, for that? So I think if it'd been at Old Trafford, it may have been a little bit more trickier. But I think we're at home, and I think that might be the deal breaker, I think, for that. I still think, it's going to take a bit of time, hopefully, touch wood, for them to acclimatise to this new guy and to get themselves, settled in some kind of rhythm. But we've already got that. Luckily, we've already played Odegaard's been back for 3 games already. We've already settled into a very nice rhythm. We've got our fluidity back. we're dynamic, and I think we're going to be not playing off the ball, and I think we'll hurt them because of that. It's not by no means, even with a rubbish manager, they're never an easy team for us, because it's just that Arsenal Man United rivalry. James has always said it, for him, that is the game of the Premiership. He's always said it. So, we can't take any game for granted. We can't take any game against Man United for granted. But I think because we have found ourselves again, and I think we're playing well, just quickly, my only caveat is injury. So let's see who he starts on Wednesday. Is it Wednesday or Tuesday? I can't remember.
Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, let's see who starts. But I think if we have more or less our first choice 11, I think we're going to have too much for them, to be fair. And I think we might even keep a clean sheet. I think we're going to win 2-0. So 2-0 against Man United. And I want to say Havertz is going to score in that one, first goal. So Havertz, 2-0 Man United. No, can I change that? I'm going to actually say Martinelli, because I've got a feeling Martinelli will play that game. So sorry, I'll change that. Yeah, Martinelli 2-0 Man United. Fulham, that will be away.
Yeah.
All right. I know what they've done to us last season, and it was not good. I think we're going to be a different team against them this season. Again, I actually think we're going to go there and beat them 3-0. And I think we'll beat them 3-0. And that game, I will say Havertz will score. So Martinelli, United, Havertz, Fulham.
Take that all day. James, what about you?
Yeah, Man United, I think, is going to be tricky. I know a lot of people have been making out stuff about them, and they do still look very leaky, because obviously they're playing a 3, aren't they, which they've not done yet, and they're getting used to it. But I remember when Arteta first started, we got Man United very early, didn't we? One of his first few games, and we won. I think Pepe scored, didn't he?
Socrates as well, wasn't it? Was it? Who was it? Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I remember it was like right at the start of his tenure. And that was like, oh, okay, now we know what Arteta's a bit about. So hopefully this doesn't happen in reverse with this guy, because obviously he's beat Arteta before, and he'll know that that's the, if I, I mean, the guy's getting glazed like nothing I've seen before, because he's just become the manager of Man United. The way the media have gone for him already, it's unbelievable. You'd think it was the second coming of Jesus Christ, the way that they've been speaking about him. But I think, again, hopefully, and it's one of my old catchphrases that I'm bringing out of the recycling bin is just play the team and not the badge and the occasion. Play the team, play the players you're playing against, and we should be winning that. So I'm gonna go for a nervy 2-1 win. And I'm going to go for Odegaard to score in that one. And then Fulham, I'm with Neil. I don't think we'll do as well, Neil. I don't think we'll get 3 goals, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 clean sheet. And I'll pick. I said Gabriel from a set piece last podcast. I'll go Saliba to score from a set piece in this one. Yeah, I'll go for Saliba.
Nice. Yep, take that. I think it'll be tough midweek.
Still 2 wins, 6 points on the board.
Yes, please. I'll go 2-1 midweek as well, and I'll say Saka, 2-1 midweek Saka, and then away at Fulham, I'll go the same, 2-1 Odegaard. 2-1 Odegaard, but big games. Every game's a big game at the moment, but every game, if we keep playing like we are, we got every chance. We're at Purely Arsenal on Twitter, at Purely Arsenal FP, on Twitter, at Purely Arsenal on YouTube. Click there, subscribe to us there. We do a podcast a week, a few instant reactions on there as well, post game at the moment, and give us your feedback, comments. Appreciate all the comments and the feedbacks and the retweets. We always appreciate that, and we'll be back.
TikTok as well, Jack. You're on TikTok now.
We're on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but Ant has put us on TikTok.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll check it out.
Yeah, he's put us on there, and I've not even logged in. I did try to download it, but then I clicked on it and it asked for. But I've never used TikTok, so
when did he put us on there?
I think last week. He just grabbed one of the videos and kind of created a little minute video out of it, and he said we'll be posting a little bit on TikTok. He said he'll just do a little few edits and chuck some stuff on TikTok and stuff like that. So we're there. We're all around. Probably should post us on Instagram too. I'll try to create Purely Arsenal Instagram account. That's been a long time coming. But all free stuff for you guys to listen to, and we appreciate your feedback. James, Neil, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully it'll be more of a pleasure next week when we chat as well. Keep the faith, up the Arsenal. Thank you, boys.